What's up, everybody? Back for some more fun in the garage. We need to install the intake, harmonic balancer, fuel pump, motor mount. Should probably find top dead center, water pump, pulleys, alternator, starter. We're gonna do the whole deal and get it ready to put in that truck. So let's hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get to it. Easy to do, guys. Intake gaskets. So we found our gaskets. I got this intake bolt set from ARP. Some black RTV silicone. I got this painted up real nice. So I'm gonna put some tape along the edge so I don't get any silicone on it. You might be saying, hey, LT, why are we protecting it from silicone? My gasket kit came with these rubber gaskets. I don't even know if anybody ever uses these. What we should do is put a dab of silicone here and here to hold the gasket in place. So when we set the intake down, we know that these gaskets are going to stay in place. These are water ports. So what I do is put a very thin layer around each water port just to make sure that that seals up. And I do it on the intake too. These gaskets are labeled this side down. Forgot to mention I put a little dab in the corner too. I'm gonna take my silicone and on the end walls here, valley walls or call them China walls, whatever you wanna call them, they need a bead of silicone. So I'm gonna hold this as straight as I can. Just put it straight down. And I got these bolts from ARP. Just gonna start putting them in by hand. I'm gonna go around at 15 foot-pounds, go around again and end at 30. All right, we got the bolts torqued down to 30 foot-pounds. Now let's clean the silicone. How do you find top dead center? Well, in this case, timing cover's off, so you can just look at the gears. When that dot and that dot are both facing 12 o'clock, you're at TDC. This harmonic balancer I have, it's labeled vertical TDC. Let's see. Oh, would you look at that? Dot 12 o'clock, dot 12 o'clock, vertical TDC. I'm good there. But what do you do if you need to find top dead center and your timing cover is on? I don't want to make marks on my new harmonic balancer yet, so I'm just gonna tape it up. Okay, we got the timing marker on. Number 1 spark plug out. Small block Chevy, it's the one on the front left. Now you can do this a few different ways. So you can put your finger on that hole and you can feel the air, or you can put a little piece of paper in there and it'll blow it out. Or you can put one of them little whistles in it. I like to use this piston stop tool, and you can make these out of an old spark plug. but this is under $10, $8 maybe. All right, I'm gonna turn this clockwise until that stops the piston on its way up. All right, it stopped right there, so I'm gonna make a mark on that 0 line. But wait, there's more. You gotta turn this the other way, counterclockwise, and make another mark. All right, stop right there. Now we're gonna put a mark on that 0 line again. So now what we have here is 2 lines. One here and one here. So now we measure the distance between those 2 lines, and that's gonna be our top dead center mark. Remember to take your stopper out. All right, I'm gonna turn this around until it reaches that 0 again. Okay, that line is at 0. We're gonna look at the gears. Now when we started, there's a dot on the top, 12 o'clock. And this other one, the dot was at 12 o'clock also. Now, that dot is at 6 o'clock, and that dot is at 12 o'clock. Now that TDC mark we made is gonna go around twice before it actually gets to where we want it. You have the exhaust stroke. We want it to be on the compression stroke. Right now, it's what they say, 180 out. Not gonna lie, I do it all the time. So what we're gonna do is rotate that around one more time, then it should all be lined up in TDC. That's right where we want it, guys. That's where we're gonna leave it. In my case, I'm gonna be using a short water pump, so this timing marker I put on here isn't gonna work. Now, these marks can be made anywhere, so I'll worry about making timing marks later on. But now at least we know for sure that this engine is at top dead center. And since we know this is at top dead center, when we go to put that distributor in, we won't have any issues at all. Should have really ate this frog this morning. Isn't that what they say? Eat the frog in the morning? I think it means to do what you don't want to do right away, so the rest of your day is awesome. Or something like that. Either way, I've been putting this off for a while. I gotta put this timing cover back on, and I don't want to have to reinstall the oil pan. Just do it! So we're gonna see if we can do a little trick to get this timing cover on the small block Chevy without taking the oil pan off. So I got the old gasket off, scraped off with a razor blade, cleaned it up real nice. Clean this up nice too. I use this wire wheel on it. It kind of scuffs it up a little bit too, because I don't think the RTV sticks very well to chrome. I really spent a lot of time cleaning this up, because that's where the problem is going to come in, especially in the corners. But what I'm going to do is take out the first maybe 4 bolts, maybe 6. Then I can take these plastic pry tools here and wedge them into these corners a little. So my idea with that is that it'll drop the front of the oil pan just a little bit, just enough for that gasket to sneak in there. And I'll put a bunch of RTV in there and cross my fingers, I guess. Plastic tools weren't strong enough to separate that. Had to use some screwdrivers. I don't know about this, guys. I think if somebody needed to replace the timing cover and the engine was in the car, there was a cross member under the oil pan, maybe you could try this with low expectations. So you can see it's just barely moved. So I think it should be able to reseal, and I'll get some RTV in there. I think it'll be all right. Let's give it a shot. Seems like it worked okay. I do think it's okay. I think it worked fine. Plus now I know if I need to change the timing cover when the engine's in a car, that's the little trick to do it. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and install the harmonic balancer. This is a harmonic balancer installer. Pretty sure the one we need is the 7/16 adapter. This is a pretty handy tool to press that balancer on there. You got your adapter, and you got your center screw, pin, bolt thing. Put a little oil on that seal. Now I have a thrust bearing, goes over that, nut on that. Now we just run that nut in until the balancer is where it's supposed to be. And I hope that oil pan doesn't leak. A few things came in the mail today. Bunch of serpentine pulleys, brackets, and a chrome 160 amp alternator. Alright guys, this is where we're going to start making it look like something. Let's start with this nice new shiny short water pump. I got these nice Allen head stainless bolts down the street from the hardware store. That place is great in a pinch, but man, it's expensive. These holes go right through to the water, so the bolts will leak if you don't put thread sealant on it. So we're gonna run these in at 30 foot-pounds. What do you say we get the whole front of this thing done? So this is a serpentine system conversion from March Performance. First thing we got to do is swap the pulley on the alternator. Just got to stick an Allen wrench in the middle there and a wrench on the nut. It comes with a new fan too. I think it looks better than this one. Goes together the same way it came apart. Sometimes when you're in your garage and you can't find or don't have the right tool for the job, you gotta get creative. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, we got a cool little nose cone to put on it. Alright, alternator's ready to go. Let's get some brackets on here. You know, I don't know why I didn't think this timing marker was gonna work. Seems to me like it'll work just fine. I'm gonna use this one though. I think these should get a little dab of Loctite. This one's getting 60 pounds. These are gonna get a dab of Loctite too. We're gonna run it through this nose cone also. All right, that was the easy part. Now we gotta do the alternator bracket. We got a few parts to put on here, but it's really not that bad. It helps to kind of loosely put it together and figure it out before you actually get into it. So this idler bracket has a larger hole on one side. The smaller hole is what's gonna be going up against the block. That's what the alternator pivots on. Slides into the idler like that and into our bracket. We'll put that in there in a second though. Let's get the alternator and the idler bracket onto the block. These are the two holes we'll be using. So this bracket here bolts to the other side of the alternator. We got our tensioner rod. This is what we use to tighten the belt. Remember that water pump bolt we torqued to 30 pounds? They do supply you with a longer bolt and a spacer. So this bolt will go through that heim joint, spacer on the other side, and into that water pump hole. Don't forget your thread sealant. We're gonna have to measure for a serpentine belt, but before we do that, we got one more thing to do. Got to put the sweet nose cone on the idler. So you can use a tape measure for this, or a piece of string or wire, and then cut it to length and then measure what you got. But I found if I use a tape measure, it's too long. If I use string, it's too short. This Tessa tape, the nylon outdoor stuff, it doesn't stretch. I can run it around those pulleys, cut it, and measure it, and I get a pretty accurate measurement. 41 on the dot. So I'm not gonna get a belt that's exactly 41 inches. I'll probably step it up to something more like 41 and a half. Could probably go more, but I'm trying to keep this all nice and tight. I don't wanna have to pull my alternator super far away just to keep the belt tight. I count the ribs on the pulleys and I should be ready to go to the store. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ribs. 6 ribs, 41 and a half inches long. I better write that down. All right guys, I got 2 different belts here. One is 42 inches long and one is about 41 and a half. It's always easier to get 2 or 3 and return the ones you don't use than having to go back to the store 3 times. I'm gonna try this one first. And that one barely made it. That's perfect though, because then it's gonna take barely any movement out of that alternator to keep this thing tight. Looks like that 41 and a half is gonna work out pretty good. Nice, clean, tight and right. Let's give this a tightening. And when you first look at this, it seems like when these spread out and this tension rod gets longer, it would tighten this belt. But it's actually the other way around. Because as that gets smaller, it's sucking that alternator up around this idler, therefore tightening the belt. Anyway, 1/2 inch wrench, there's notches in the middle of the rod, and you just go to town. All right, lock her down. That looks fantastic. You cannot be mad at that. But I got time to do this fuel pump quick. So this is a pretty easy job, especially since it's out of the car. I mean, sometimes it could be a pain when it's in the car and there's a frame rail in your way and everything else, but this should go pretty easy. So this rod goes up in a hole here and it rides on the camshaft. And as that turns, it pushes this back and forth, which pushes on that, which pumps the gas. Easy enough, right? Well, you gotta put this in the hole first. Slides up in there. Problem is it usually falls back out on you before you can get the pump in. I usually try to just do it real quick. Put my finger in there and sneak the pump in. It's not always easy though. What is easy is that this bolt right here goes all the way through to this push rod. If you take that short one out, put a longer one in, it'll temporarily hold this rod in place so you don't have to worry about it falling back out on you. But don't forget to take that long bolt back out or you might have some problems. And if you don't put that short one back in, you're gonna have problems too, because oil will be shooting right out of that hole. We're kind of lucking out here though, because it's not falling out. The engine is kind of tilted on the stand. I think that's working in our favor. Since this does ride on that camshaft, I'm gonna put a little assembly lube on the end, just so it's lubed up for when I first fire this thing up. Gasket, RTV. More RTV. Just waiting for that rod to fall out on me at the worst time. Now this plate has to go on there with just the bottom screws. Another gasket, and even more RTV. Now what? Yup, more RTV. That's like a quadruple gasket RTV sandwich. Might as well make it a double stacker. Inside joke, indie truck bash, early 2000s. Guy was eating cicada bug shells, dipping them in mud, and said might as well make it a double stacker, and ate 2 of them. Not even kidding, I got video footage somewhere. Mini truckers. All right, our rod is holding strong. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of assembly lube on that too. Is it necessary? Is it common practice? I don't know, but it's what I do. Like I said earlier, I don't think that RTV sticks to chrome very well, so I'm gonna scuff this up with that just by hand. Just a little, and being careful not to get anything in there. But I just want to put some scratches in there. Make sure I got my bolts ready, because when I start holding this up there to that messy silicone, that's when that rod falls out. I drop the pump, gaskets fall off, makes a big mess, dogs come in and eat it, and we all have a bad day. Almost forgot to tighten my bottom bolts. Alright guys, we're not stopping now, we're on a roll. Let's put these motor mounts on and tighten up that starter. So I've been getting these motor mounts from Speedway Motors. They seem to always work good in whatever I'm building, because you get these and then just some tabs that you can cut to fit, or you can make your own. They're just really good in any custom application. Got a sack of nice new motor mount bolts. These motor mounts use these bushings. They're like rod end bushings, 4-link bushings. I like to use these high torque mini starters from I think like 90s Blazers. They're nice, small, super powerful, and I've always had good luck with them. Another thing is I've never had to shim one of these, ever. They're just always perfect. I double check, but I don't have the flex plate on, and I obviously can't do it when it's on the stand. So we'll cross our fingers and hope that we don't have to mess around with that. But like I said, I've never had an issue with it before, so I ain't worried. Still here? Video's over. Later, guys. This video got awfully how-to-y.